This is not a myth. While yes, it's been shown that the rate of loneliness between women and men is basically the same, it's been studied and surveyed that men are generally struggling more with the loneliness. And no, just saying men need to open up more or that they simply need to go to therapy is not going to cut it. Sure, it's true to some extent, but it would be narrow-minded, kind of arrogant, and definitely patronizing.
In most cases, your loneliness is not your fault. That ghost haunting you is the result of a structure not only causing you alienation, but also benefiting from it. Loneliness is not a personal issue, but a structural one.
So, how does the actual matrix look like? And more importantly, who is profiting from your loneliness? Why do we feel offended when women are talking about independence, or when we hear statements like, "We don't need men," or "I don't need a man in my life"?
You need us.
Why are so many reacting with, "Oh, look at that entitled, self-centered bitch"? And yes, I'm talking about you as well, you hot fanboy beta performative male twink. Hey, I'm hot? Looking at the traditional family structure, it's obvious that a clear codependency exists. The husband is meant to get food on the table, while the wife does care work at home. A woman's main goal in life used to be finding the perfect man who can provide, care for, or protect her in exchange for her service. Men were the heroes of society that were looked up to. The nuclear family ideal.
Having a woman on your side is like a proud achievement and confirmation of your manhood that has been taught to us ever since we can think of, not only by our social circles, but also by movies or advertising.
This is also why a lot of men feel proud of having, let's say, a high body count, a wife, or being rich. And I'm not saying that with any judgment whatsoever. This is simply the socialization we grew up with.
So our identity is heavily dependent on romantic or sexual relationships. That has always been an essential part of what it means to be a man or a woman. I'm only whole if a woman or a man recognizes and validates my being. But times are changing.
This supposed traditional utopia has been exposed as nothing but a romanticized lie.
While women are finally reaching their independence, many men are still stuck on the promise that women desperately needed men to be happy. But neither do they, nor do you. Men being hurt and angered by statements like these not only exposes our codependency, but also our inability to move on.
Wanting to be desired and loved is a universal need. And we could open up a whole discussion about how normative beauty can make you more desirable. I don't want to sugarcoat that.
It's always easier to talk about all of this if you have been in a relationship. I am aware of that. You definitely deserve to be happy with somebody else. But at the same time, we have to recognize that nobody owes us anything at all.
Believing a relationship is the end to all means is fatal. Trust me, it's not. Believing women alone will be the cure for your loneliness makes it easy to blame them for every negative aspect of your life.
Also, a huge male loneliness epidemic. It's actually really,
that's because women are unmarriable.
Discussions about the nuclear family ideal are usually not about the desire to be loved or having a happy family life. If you're being honest here, it's more about the loss of power and control. It's time to wake up from that romanticized past. This is a world that simply can't exist anymore, despite what others will tell you. This is not a political take. While that lifestyle has been heavily propagandized, it was still ultimately a voluntary choice by many. Force will not result in a treadway fantasy. Decades of social and cultural progress would need to be reversed, which, let's be real, won't happen anytime soon, even with violence. Sure, you can force someone to submit, But that wouldn't be the traditional family ideal you were dreaming of, right? Except this is the actual desire behind the nuclear family fantasy. Men's roles aren't only being questioned now, their standards are also unattainable. Social movements like the civil rights movements, feminist waves, or the trans rights movements forced men to question their identity or abandon false promises in their lives. Men don't just feel like failures, they feel feminized. On top of that, there's a deep sense of lacking self-efficacy. They were promised that with enough hard work, anyone could achieve prosperity, that leadership roles and authority were rightfully theirs, or that sexual availability would be easier. To compensate for this, you just have to crank up the very values you were socialized with. Be more stoic, more muscular, richer, more dominant, more aggressive, more intelligent. You have to win back respect. I just need to work harder, perform better to finally get what I was promised. This creates a toxic nostalgia you can't let go of. That identity crisis yearns for answers, not only judgments. Perfect circumstances for exploitation. In my previous videos, I've made the mistake of not explicitly differentiating grifters and participants. I want to clarify that it was all directed towards the grifters, not minimizing or talking down your life experiences.
Dude, men are fucking lonely, bro. People don't seem to understand that. 77% of men.
Stop being a depressed piece of shit. It's a choice.
What I failed to highlight was how disgustingly deceptive the grift is. Using small truths as treasonous ways to shove conspiracies and shit down your throat in the hope of you buying their overpriced online courses on how to get rich fast, self-help programs, or predatory dating advices that the Matrix doesn't want you to know. Not only harnessing your loneliness, pain, anxieties, or insecurities, but also amplifying them. Because your actual growth as a person is simply bad business for them. You've been reminded that your masculinity has to be proven. It is a hustle. Your body, your work, your money, your intelligence, your status, everything needs to perform. This is a competition. Anyone who falls back isn't worthy of being a man. Fuck, apparently you actually deserve to feel that pain. To be lonely, to be broke, to have nobody in your life.
Get back to fucking work.
Work harder, 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 and harder. The biggest tragedy behind this flaccid theater play is the irony. Talking about the male loneliness epidemic, pointing at the high suicide rate among men, how difficult being a man is, while simultaneously increasing the social pressure on often already overwhelmed young men. It's undeniable that expectations being put on us are universal, but it's also undeniable that the highest standards of what it means to be a man are being set by other men, which is unsurprising given how many of us have been raised to be competitive. Now, mix high competitiveness, performative masculinity, insecurity, emotional repression, and an identity crisis with This video is sponsored by you. If you like what I do, please consider joining Patreon. Thanks. That's it. Our issues mean profit. The manosphere market is just a tiny drop in a bucket. Our anger, frustration, loneliness, or search for identity fuels the algorithm. Our social media overlords have figured out our brain chemistry in order to colonize our minds for profit. Masculine identities are constantly being sold to us, whether it's the gym bro, the performative male, or the old money aesthetic. In today's high-performative social media zeitgeist, identities have become aesthetics you can buy. Each one claiming to be rebellious against the patriarchy or against the fight against patriarchy, while being nothing but a muscular empty suit, drinking matcha latte. Men are the breadwinners of the family. You just have to work hard enough to provide for your family or your loved ones. Your full-time job isn't enough? Well, maybe you're just not performing well enough at work, or you're just actually bad at it. But don't worry. One day, you will make it. It is a competitive market after all. Meanwhile, my wage hasn't really changed,
Cost of living is at an all-time high. Real estate is practically impossible to own. I can find an apartment. I can only invest if I cancel any vacation plans. And I'm about to turn 30. I should be thankful for my job. Otherwise an immigrant will take it. But what if that's not enough? What if your brain, your money, your labor isn't the only thing worth exploiting? What is left? Your life.
The deeper question is, how did the military allow itself to go woke?
Wanna own the libs? Finally a safe space for men. No weird beta sexuals allowed. I mean real men. Men are meant to go to war, regain their honor, dominate and conquer. The ideal place for self-discipline, fitness and camaraderie.
For the longest period of human time, for a man to be respected, for him to even be admired by society on any level, to some degree he had to be a warrior. That's what men did, we fought. So if you're out here as a man and you have no battle in your life, no conquest in your life, no form of war in your life, then what are you doing?
It's maybe easy to make fun of this, but we can't forget that for many young men, joining the army has real benefits if you can't make it in the private market or don't have generational wealth. Good educational opportunities, financial security, strong insurance, a decent pension. But the bonus here, finally being proud of myself again, and finally doing something that's meaningful. People are looking up to me again. They respect me. I found a purpose, protecting the people I love, the values, our freedom. I can be a hero. Turning men into tools to serve a state or a leader is a fundamental goal of the state. And no, I'm not only talking about authoritarian fascist regimes here. I'm talking about liberal democracies. The hypocrisy of progressive voices is this: rightfully denouncing or questioning social standards being put on men, like his duty to be this dominant hero of society, while simultaneously expecting him to sacrifice his life for the nation. And once a traumatized soldier somehow survives the front lines and makes it home, liberals lecture him about being toxic. All the while, structural material problems remain unchanged. Everything is just so exhausting. On top of dealing with an identity crisis, the fear of never finding a girlfriend or being constantly told how to perform, you're also constantly afraid of your future or your financial stability. You're stuck in your never-ending 9-to-5 job that feels empty and won't help you grow as a person. No wonder everyone feels alienated. Why should I go outside when I'm already exhausted or broke? I've outsourced my social life to Discord, Instagram, Tinder or whatever because it's easier that way. Or I'd rather watch an overlong video essay on the men's crisis for the 20th time. Thank you. The hustle culture falls right into this trap. Men are more willing to overwork or sell their labor for steady wages because they believe both in work being a masculine trait and in the possibility of becoming the next trillionaire. But it isn't just the economic market here. Everything is a market now. Masculinity, relationships, intimacy, hobbies, sports, education, art, even fucking time itself. Everything is a commodity. The worst part, that means everything becomes a competition. A cutthroat dog-eat-dog society that only benefits the few. But hey, don't worry, it's the blue-haired feminists you should be worrying about. It is the logical consequence to hide or repress your emotions if you were not only socialized to believe men are competing with each other in basically everything, but also that the stoic, confident, rational, cold and successful father figure in the nuclear family model is the ultimate goal you should strive for. If not showing weakness and asserting dominance is supposedly necessary to stay on top of a competitive hierarchy in a man's world, then violence becomes a reaction attempting to regain control during situations of powerlessness. That isolation and loneliness are the ideal breeding ground for hatred and nihilism is, I believe, something we are all aware of. Nevertheless, I must emphasize once again that this hatred is not only fueled by shady online incel communities, but is also heavily politicized. by right-wing extremists.
Echte Männer sind rechts.
Recruiting men for the military may be a form of universal state exploitation, but the almost fetishistic emphasis on order, discipline, and healthy, strong male bodies belongs solely to fascism. For example, in the Republicans' political playbook, Project 2025, it states, families comprised of a married mother, father, and their children are the foundation of a well-ordered nation and healthy society. The male-female diet is essential to human nature, and every child has a right to a mother and father.
Structural influence shapes choices, but agency still matters. Self-awareness or structural influence don't absolve anybody from anything. Most of us are adults with full autonomy. Our decisions have been made by us. But society isn't an excuse. I'm responsible for my actions and have to face the consequences. What's been done has been done. What I said has been said. We can either learn from it or not. That decision can only be made by yourself, of course. Self-reflection and self-criticism is what actual stoicism is. But at the same time, we need to allow others to grow and to forgive. Allowing the possibility for redemption is necessary to break from a competitive society. Warning about the male loneliness epidemic, while simultaneously telling men to just suck it up and be a fucking man, is ironic. One of many reasons why women seem to cope better with the loneliness is the higher number in deep non-romantic relationships. This is only possible if we allow ourselves to open up more and actually talk about things that are personal, or build platonic relationships. Talking is of course only one of many ways to improve your mental health. Working out, distraction, movies, cooking, working, whatever. Socializing, self-help and therapy is essential and needed. But that's not everything. Demanding social, structural and political change is necessary as well. Material change is needed to unload stress and anxieties. Having values is crucial. Being emotionally strong and developing a backbone to pursue those values even more so. It's just so important for you to ask yourself whether those values are coming from inside you or being put on you externally. How much of it is coming from social pressure? And yes, even feminine twinks like myself believe in protecting, caring for, or providing for the people I care about. But protecting from what exactly? Sure, the world can be hostile, but living in constant fear and competitiveness turns your neighbors into potential targets you have to watch out for or dominate in a performative market. Solidarity has no gender. I believe it's our solidary duty to care for each other and to overcome that self-destructive cycle of competition and comparison. And please don't get me wrong here. Being rich must be fucking great. Finally being able to afford everything you want is something I truly wish for anyone. But we simply have to recognize that meritocracy, the American dream, as Trump said, is dead. The true nuclear family dream was being able to afford a home, have financial stability, and trust your community. Because of that loss, we've also lost the feeling of what it's like to be proud of ourselves for the hard work we've done. And you should be proud of yourself for working your fucking ass off. And you should have way more in your pocket than you currently have. But linking your financial success to your dick size is the wet dream of the ruling class. If we believe this lie, your masculinity not only becomes fragile, but most importantly, exploitable. And no amount of self-help will be able to change that.
Pointing fingers at others isolates us even more. Degrading others is self-inflicted loneliness. It divides us even more, hurts men even more. Our masculinity has been sold to us, lied to us, exploited, and most importantly, used to make us hate each other even more, continuing the cycle of alienation. Recognizing that the male loneliness epidemic was PR campaigned into a personal issue instead of a structural one is the first step in seeing the true matrix and finally taking the red pill. If you can let go of what's been lost, of a future based on false promises, or a world you were taught is yours, you will just end up becoming the very ghost that haunted you in the first place.